Yeah, man. Hold on for a minute. Let me get right for a minute, man. Checking my Facebook page.
Purchase your tracks today.
And my Instagram page. And my Snapchat page. We'll get it back.
See you flossing on Instagram, stay posted on Facebook.
It's the I See What You're Doing podcast. I'm Mr. I See What You're Doing, and as always, I see what you're doing.
On Thursday, April 2nd, the hilarious, the uncensored, the untamable Alonzo Zobo 69 Brock and friends.
Raise your hand if you're racist. My father's racist, but he only racist towards me. He loved everybody else, just racist towards me. He kind of still mad at me because he told me to do something years back and I didn't listen. That was being born. You should have seen me when I was in my mama's belly, dodging the morning after pill.
Also performing will be Jacoby Bruton, Annie Loke, and King Capo Thursday, April 2nd. This will be a one-night event, so get your tickets early by going to the Kansas City Funny Bone website. This will be a sold-out event, so get your tickets now.
My brother came to me a couple of months ago and told me my cousin Johnny died. That's sad. But then he gonna ask me, was I going to Johnny's funeral? Hell no, he ain't coming to mine.
Yo, man, what up? Shout out to my boy Zobo 69. You can catch him later on tonight on the Speak That Shit podcast, hosted by the one and only Zobo 69. So Kansas City, get your tickets, man. April 2nd. We'll be in your city. We'll be in the town. And he's bringing some friends along with him, as you heard. Sometimes you gotta get a little comfort because the way that the world is going right now, it's enough stuff here that could possibly make you cry. Anyway, you know who I am, or need I say. I'm Mr. I See What You're Doing. And again, it's 5 o'clock somewhere right here on the I See What You're Doing podcast. And we got a lot to talk about today. First up, vigilante justice and ICE, federal officers shooting Venezuelan immigrants in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And isn't that ironic that the immigrant who got shot was from Venezuela, when last week I gave you an idea on what life looks like in Venezuela right now. So we got a bunch of, in my opinion, vigilantes running around using force on immigrants now. With no accountability. I saw a video that they showed where when the officer shot the immigrant, he had a racial slur behind it. It's concerning that that's the case, because the stories that you get about ISIS, same thing, same difference. Is not one of heroics in law enforcement carrying out the president's order against immigrants. It's vigilante justice, and they just snatching up people who are U.S. citizens as well. We've been over that also. It was a woman at that this guy shot, and for the longest time, if you correlate that with all of the police violence against U.S. citizens or people born in this country, you would think that we're back to that again. I would hope not, but I mean, the way that you look at the world, that could be the case. Now, supporters of ICE agents, they face unpredictable danger and must act decisively. Critics say federal enforcement escalates situations unnecessarily and lacks transparency. And the debate centers on whether federal authority justifies expanded use of force or requires higher accountability. I don't think you necessarily have to use a whole lot of force. You definitely have to be transparent and accountable to your actions, because just because you have a badge on doesn't give you an opportunity to just physically assault people and terrorize neighborhoods and terrorize cities and terrorize towns. Definitely causes national. It brings it shines a light on national relevance of ICE. It brings forth, which is another topic in my show tonight. It brings forth strong civil rights implications, meaning civil. Most people are due rights that are due regular people. I mean, like I said, United States citizens. We could talk about later in the show what our president stated about civil rights as a whole and how it affects people, particular races. But in this particular case, whether you're from this country or not, there's a universal law that says you have rights as a human being to be treated with some kind of dignity and some kind of respect, and not treated as criminals when you have not broken any laws. Illegal immigrants, maybe, but regardless of the fact, this has not always been the way that immigration has been handled in this country, the way this is being handled now. So I think that there has to be more accountability towards it, because right now, ICE agents are doing whatever they want to do. And they're over exaggerating what the president might have instructed or whatever. And maybe he's instructing them to do just that. But either way that it goes, it's definitely not the right way to go about it. It's definitely not the way that things should be done. And it's not the way that it should continue to be done. I mean, am I all for you getting rid of illegal immigrants? Yeah, I believe that there's a way that you come into this country. There's avenues that you can take to become a United States citizen. There's a right way to do things and there's a wrong way to do things. So in contrast to being one-sided, there is a way for you to enter this country and become a United States citizen. You have to do it the right way. But even with that being said, had our border been protected properly and resources had not been funneled to other avenues outside of Border Patrol, then you would not have so many illegal immigrants coming to this country, unless that's the idea. And when I say that, I'm just going to go into something briefly that I noticed. And this is not racial. I'm not doing that. I'm just pointing out the facts. I heard Joe Biden say when he was president that by the year 2040, white people would be the minority. I've always thought that white people were the minority. If you go back and look at history books, how can one man ward over 40 slaves, 50 slaves, 100 slaves by himself? And that doesn't say that outnumbered. And then as far as genetically and as far as relationship wise, when you have interracial couples, those babies are considered to be African descent if the father or the mother, in my opinion, is of African descent, because one drop of black blood makes you black. You get it? So in this particular case, though, we're dealing with federal agents operating without local oversight. So you have an opportunity to where these ICE agents are going into cities and they're doing things outside of checking in with the law because they feel like they're considered to be federal agents. Their jurisdiction and their reach of power supersedes the local government officials, state and local. So, and the governors in those particular states that are Republican won't stand up and say, no, it has to be done in right order. We also deal with how immigration statuses affect media framing. And it also why federal investigations often take longer, which in this particular case, why I'm saying federal cases take longer is because it took a bit for this ICE agent to be charged with the murder of this young lady. I mean, you know. I mean, from what I've understood right now, we have a long way to go considering this case, but I want to bring to you the idea that ICE agents are not only now taking immigrants by force, arresting them. You can have the potential to lose your life if you don't comply with what's going on, what's being instructed to you. And I mean, I can tell you, I saw another news report where they were snatching up high school students and stuff. Like, you causing discord inside the high schools, you know. It can cause high public engagement. I mean, because you are going to have a whole bunch of you're going to get a lot of the public reaching in and sounding off on this particular situation, because I mean, hey, family, loved ones, everybody's not going to agree with that. 1 second, please, as I move. Well, and that's where we are right now with Venezuela. Like I said, story's still developing. I just wanted to give you guys an idea on what we're looking at as far as ISIS, same difference. One more footnote. This should matter to you because federal power should not mean immunity. And trust erodes when enforcement turns deadly. So I hope that was enough to catch it with that. Second one was something that I really wanted to get into. And I want to give a disclaimer. I've done this before on a couple of podcasts right here at BFAM 109.6, but I want to give you an idea on where I'm going to go right now. And I'm going to say up front. And if you feel free to email me at Iseewhatyoudoin. I see what you're doing. Look at it right here. Mr. I see what you're doing. Take the Mr. off. Look at the title right there. I see what you're doing. Podcast at gmail.com. If you disagree with anything that I'm going to say next. But SCOTUS is having a hearing. And it's sparking controversy over the definition of sex. We're not talking about physical sex. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the definition of male and female. As if we have not all known already how we come to the idea of sex. There was only two on any application or any information that you ever had to fill out. There were two sexes. And that goes into our article that I saw where they were saying that there was a debate over whether or not transgender men and women were going to be allowed to participate in female sports, male sports. As a woman, I don't believe a lot of women, transgender women, are going to go into men's sports. But when you have transgender men or transgender women that want to go and play a sport that's created for women, that's, by the way, if you would like to email me a topic or ask me a question about a topic, you can email me at Iseewhatyoudoin Podcast at gmail.com. You got to put podcast behind I see what you're doing. Okay? But what I'm saying is, we've all understood women, boxing, and then you let a transgender man go on, and it's different. Women's soccer, swimming, track and field, whatever the case may be. I just believe that you don't get an opportunity to go into another sport and you weren't born of that gender. You feel me? Like, maybe a little leeway if you had an operation that you did not have a dick and balls. I'm just gonna keep it a buck. Maybe then. But if you're a transgender man and you still have male genitalia, that's where the thing gets sticky at. You got male genitalia, and you want to go into a space where you want to play women's sports, then I don't think that you should be allowed to. I mean, we're gonna respect the fact that you have a choice in your lifestyle, but we don't have to respect the idea that you want to live that particular lifestyle and then invade a sport that's not, that you obviously going to dominate. And I get the debate that's going to go, a lot of women are better at men at some sports, maybe, depending on what the sport is, powerlifting and all of that. Because if the crazy videos that you have out there, powerlifting and all of that, those are sports that if a man is always, to me, if you're in shape and you're doing the right things, and your body going to be able to lift more than a woman. Now I know I got some women that's going to jump my inbox, but let me just be clear about something. There's something called testosterone, and there's something called estrogen, and there's PEDs. I'm not saying that a woman is a lesser vessel. I'm just saying percentage-wise. Yeah. Now, supporters of flexibility argue rigid definitions exclude transgender individuals. Opponents say laws without definitions lose meaning and consistency. Now, the debate as whether civil rights are better protected by clarity or adaptability. And I mean, this must be a civil rights show, because here we go again with civil rights. We're back to civil rights for immigrants. Now we talk about civil rights for transgender men and women. This is a case that's in the Supreme Court. That's what SCOTUS is, Supreme Court of the U.S. This is we talking about a high-profile case that they're hearing in the Supreme Court to determine the definition of sex. If that changes, then it could possibly end up not being a male or a female anymore. There won't be a clearly defined line between male and female. In your heart and in your mind, you'll know, but according to the law. And that's a powder keg waiting to explode, because then if there's no defined line between male and female, then speaking from a mindset of incarceration, then there should not be a defined line in that either. You feel me? Like, which is dangerous, you feel me? Because I'm sure that whenever someone of transgender gets incarcerated, they don't, because you identify as a man in public when you go to jail or go to prison, they're not identifying you as a man or a woman. Then they are going by your gender. So defining sex, defining the sex, you got it's so much that go along with it. What I'm trying to get you to understand. But they got to explain how the language, the law, and the civil rights coincide with that. The attorneys don't even want to define the term. When they were asked about it, the definition of sex, the attorneys don't want to touch it. But they brought it before the Supreme Court. They want to, if they redefine it, it's going to reignite that particular debate. And I hope that we could have already got past it, because I swear we've done this here. And if you're a man, and I'm just going to go out and say it like this is where the thing gets thick at. I always find myself doing this. If you're a grown man and you decide to be transgender or whatever it is that you decide to be, just remember this right here. You can say whatever you identify as, but remember when you were born what your birth certificate said. And remember, you can call all day long about respecting your choice, and we will. But what we will not do is respect your choice to go out and terrorize grown women in sports that were created for them, because you couldn't cut it as an adult male in that same sport with a bunch of testosterone-filled men. Brings up questions about legal clarity and social identity. Because as of right now, this particular thing is not clear. It's not clear on the definition. They're not clear. I don't even know if they're clear on what transgender is anymore. But it's in the Supreme Court. Now, I can say this: legal language does shape real outcomes. So, in this particular case, it's such a tender situation, because you're going to have to be careful how you write the legalese in this thing, because one slip up is going to cause chaos, not just in sports, but all around all over the place concerning transgender men, women, and all that. So, and I wanted to touch on one that I wanted to touch on another subject. That I saw, and I just had to think about it because it kind of reminded me of Mike Brown, Sandra Bland, and George Floyd and Trayvon Martin, all of the African American people who lost their lives to what I call police brutality. We originally talked about we originally talked about ICE agents. And I included in that ISIS, and I included, I love saying ISIS because that's what it sounds like to me, but we talked about local law enforcement today and the responsibility for transparency and accountability, right? And they killed that back in August of last year. I saw the article, and there was a young man who was killed back in August in Miami, and I wanted to give you his name. But I could. I had the information, and then I don't have it right now, and it tends to bother me sometimes. I'm totally busy all the time, but sometimes I lose track of things. Sometimes my phone shows me an article and it disappears. But that doesn't take away from what was the point that I was trying to make. Young black male in the video, he has his hands outstretched, nothing in his hand. I guess he was acting a little erratic. That's not grounds for shooting him. But the police said that they killed him. They didn't have a choice. And I believe that you always have a choice. Taser, pepper spray, blackjack. Doesn't have to end with that. But I think that's the go-to thing, right? And both of these correlate because you have ICE killing the young lady. You have police department in Miami killing a young man because they didn't have a choice. And history replays itself. And I spoke to a few people, and the young man gave me a statistic that said that 3 people get shot every day, 3 people get killed every day by police, if not more. It's just not in the news regularly, so you don't get that. And with media, they pop up certain information at certain times to get a reaction now, right? The problem that we have in these particular cases is they showed it, and we've become desensitized from these type of issues. Right? I mean, if you can remember Trump's last presidency, this same type of stuff was happening because of the person that was in office. Not totally about him, but it's happening because the mindset is make America great again, and we've been over that before. But when was America ever great for anybody except for it definitely wasn't for us as people of color. This country has never been great, nor has it ever treated us with the respect and dignity that we deserve for helping build this country. And we're going in reverse. You know, there was a lot of marching, there was a lot of speeches, there was a lot of Malcolm X, there was a lot of Marcus Garvey, there was a lot of Martin Luther King standing up and saying we want rights, and then civil rights was given. And then it seemed like it got better. And maybe a little bit. Law enforcement leaders say officers must make a split-second decision. That's when they said they didn't have a choice because they got to make a split-second decision. Critics argue protected institutions cover communities, you know, and the debate centers on whether policing models prevent harm or normalize it. And the policing model that we have now tend to normalize police brutality and violence. As I said, strong comparisons to the Trayvon Martins, the Mike Browns. And mind you, this type of thing has always been happening. We just happen to be able to see it more often now because everybody has a miniature video camera in their hand, which is called a cell phone. But again, national relevance. National relevance means that this is happening on a national stage as well as a local stage. ICE, local police, law enforcement. So that's where we're at right now. We're back in that particular thing. We're back on that hamster wheel. And there's a lot of them that we on right now. It's like one big hamster wheel, and once you try to get out one, you just end up on something else. So justice should not depend on the bad. And if you want people to trust you, accountability must be forward, not on the back end after you try to cover up and cover up the spots and all that, and make it up, clean it up, and make it look neat, and then present it to the people. It's got to be transparency and accountability in it. Now, there are ongoing investigations into this. Mind you, I never heard about the thing that happened in Miami in August, but I mean, like I said, I get information. And again, if you read the thing scrolling across the bottom of the screen, if you read that message, you can reach out to me anytime and put your questions or your comments or your topics or whatever in that box, in that email, and I'll be happy to respond to you. Some of these investigations into these particular situations feel endless as well. We can almost go back and think how long it took for them to come up with a verdict on Breonna Taylor or Sandra Bland. As I said before, same difference, same outcome, different agencies. There's no accountability at the federal level. There's no accountability at the local level. You give an officer a badge, they feel like they're above the law. And they go out and enforce the law that they feel like they're above because they feel like they're untouchable. And depending on who's looking at and viewing information, they are. My next segment, I'm going to give you a disclaimer. My next segment is going to sound a little bit like when I first started my podcast, because it touches me in the tender place when I hear these type of statements, right? So bear along with me as I go into this particular thing. We're dealing with civil rights now. Remember, I told you most of this is going to be civil rights. So our president made a statement. And his statement was that giving Black people civil rights allowed for white people to be treated badly. Giving Black people civil rights allow for white people to be treated badly. Here, overview said, Donald Trump claimed civil rights policies harmed white people, and I'm not sure how. I'm really not sure how. Are we talking about job? What exactly are we talking about? Because what do you give the man who has everything? What do you give to a person who has a 400-year head start? Now, mind you, again, a disclaimer. I'm not talking about everybody. Most of the time when I'm doing this here, I'm talking about what's being said in politics. Don't take this personal. I'm not running down on white people. I don't hate white people. I'm just pointing out. I'm not going to do the cliche, I got one white friend, because I got a gang of people that I find out that don't have my pigmentation that I think are great people. Awesome people, man. I done had shots with them and all type of stuff. We done had great conversations. Yeah. It's not a can we all just get along. Sometimes I get along with the people and love the people that I love. And I'm always open to meeting new people. But I haven't seen a lot of bad treatment for white people around civil rights. He referred to it as reverse discrimination. And what do you discriminate? How are we discriminating against you? Like, what, you want to come to the barbecue? I mean, what is it? You want to come to the club? Because you were able to go to the club. Well, we don't let you in on the sideline at the HBCU games. I mean, where you want to go to the classic? What is it that you're being discriminated on? Because economically, you can't be discriminated against. Economically, you can't be discriminated against. You know, you cutting all of the, you took away DEI, and you cutting all the programs that were meant to create growth in Black communities, as well as gentrifying those particular communities. And with DEI, you went and told white people to file for discrimination, and I'm still concerned about what discrimination. Where are you being discriminated against? And that has nothing to do with civil rights. It has nothing to do with civil rights. You can't get mad at a person for asking and requesting what's given and what's supposed to be given to everyone in this country as a United States citizen. You can't. That's the most asinine thing I've ever heard in my life. But it's a smokescreen because, I mean, in that particular, if that's the case, and we pointing fingers, and you treat and watch this. This is what I normally would get kicked out of. And if you feel you're getting treated bad, I feel like this. Considering the history of America, that we just started as a people, Black people, discriminate against white people. We owe y'all about 350 years of discrimination. We owe y'all about 400 years of mistreatment. We behind. The secret to that is this right here. If you continue to buy into what's being said, you behind. And you out of touch with reality. The truth of the matter is, in the 1960s, or a little bit before the 1960s, when Black people received the right to vote and civil rights, and affirmative action came into play, which affirmative action wasn't for Black people. It was for white women, and Black people just happened to benefit from it, just like DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, was including everybody else, because the white men already had a head start. I know you can hate me, you can get mad, pissed, or whatever, but I'm just telling you. So when I hear this, I'm confused. Right? Supporters argue policies should be reassessed for fairness. So Republicans and MAGA supporters believe that we should go back and reassess civil rights, see where the unfairness is. And I'll tell you what the unfairness is. The unfairness is that we still do not have full civil rights as a people of color. Let me give you a breakdown of that. You don't want to give out reparations. It's not that you can't. It's not that you have to see how it's going to be given out. You don't want to give it out. Hell, Jewish people got paid for the Holocaust, and Germany was the one who perpetrated that. The promise that you made about reparations would have stripped this man, because in reality, the minority in this country, can you imagine if you had to give 40 acres in the mule to every slave after the emancipation was signed? Yeah, I know, right? That's crazy. Like, this land is your land, this land is my land, give me my land. Like, it's not enough land to go around, so that was not realistic. It was a promise. You did not keep your promise. Yeah, I mean, maybe you felt like you're talking about people, talking about a race of people that was considered 3/4 of the human being, where they were before you transported them to America on slave ships per se. And I know the history of that. 380,000 touched America. The rest of the 12 million that they say came over, some of them jumped in the ocean. So 12 million didn't make it. But a majority of the slaves that were brought over on those slave ships did not touch the Americans. 380,000. That's the number. So when you talk about slaves, you give a reparations, and you giving checks to Cherokee Indians, all of those people. You miss some of this because you classified us as black people. You classified us as African Americans. So the thing is to create fear amongst constituents because, white people are being treated badly. That's the same jargon that you spit out when you brought the South Africans over here. And I'm not saying they don't need to come over here, but I mean, if you brought them over here, what's wrong with illegal immigrants making their way to America? Because they're all illegal, right? We as people, civil rights leaders, we rejected that particular claim. And I mean, as I said before, it's the most asinine claim in the world. It's the most asinine claim in the world. But I mean, shit, when you consider who you're dealing with, it's not all his fault, man. I mean, come on, bro. Dude, like in his 80s. And I mean, shit, if you ever think about it, when they start talking about OGs and aunts and all that, right there, Donald Trump is a triple OG. He in his 80s, man. And you got to remember that. Because on any other job, the person will have to retire. The person is allowed to retire at 65, 67. Probably going to be 70 by the time. You know what I'm saying? They probably run that number up, man. And when you retire from your job, they roll you right by a hole in the ground and wait for you to kick it, and they put you in the hole. But you could be the president at 80, 90 years old. I don't know whether I know he's functioning right mentally or not. That's nobody. these particular statements right here kind of make me feel like something may be off upstairs. But you know that this is the way that you go when you're trying to rewrite history. You have to make those particular statements because this, if you're revising history and you're trying to erase all of the things that were positive for every other race except for you or the race that you identify with. Don't worry, I'll wait because I do this shit for real. I'm not pretending with this. I do this for shit. I do this shit for real all day, every day. Twice on Sunday. Check me out. Remember, you don't dig what I'm saying. Hit the email at Gmail. We talk about it. I bring you on the show. It's going to listen. You're going to have to, if it's worth it to you, pay for it. You can come on the show and you can debate me live on this particular podcast anytime at 5 o'clock. Just jump in that email right. Don't hide your hands and all that. Don't hide your faces. Jump in that email right. And tell me about it. So, yeah. These are clear quarter arguments. And it should create high engagement if you hear this type of stuff and you don't get active, and you don't start thinking about what's being said to you, then I mean, come on, man. Come on. It's almost like it feel like they did us a favor. And then we turned our back and we didn't hold up our end of the bargain. We'll give y'all civil rights, but you got to like us. You gave us civil rights and we don't like us. That's not discrimination. That's 400, 500 years of distrust. We should be on our way back asking for persecution and prosecution for people because they put a rookie in my drink 400 years ago. They abused my ancestors 400 years ago through slavery. Not even that much, almost 300 years back. Because, you know, down the rest of this country's birth is coming up again. And we should go back and demand justice for those particular actions because they roofed my drink. Bill Cosby raped me 30 years ago. Was that a crime? And you have crimes of war, and you have crimes against humanity. But this particular situation against people of color has not been deemed any of that. And no one has paid a price for it. No one's ever had to be accountable for it. You dig? So, history shapes policy. History does shape policy. That's why we have people who are okay with using racial slurs and writing up policies that were geared towards people of color. The two largest crime bills in this country were written by Joe Biden and Bill Clinton that were geared toward, you guessed it, I don't have to say anymore about that. So, yeah. As for civil rights and black people treating white people bad, I wouldn't say that you deserve it, but what I would say is get the fuck out of here, man. But that bullshit. Come on. And last but not least, man, I got to quit one because this was supposed to be 7 segments. It's not 7 segments. I'm going to tell you a couple of things. Iran protests are intensifying amid crackdowns. Our president is sending out warning to Iran They back over there, man. Iran is close to death storm. It's a rush for the oil, like a gold rush, and they trying to get that gold, and they trying to get that oil. Really. China moves to limit AI chip purchases to countries on the backs of America putting out sanctions. And this is the one I wanted to get to before I give you my closing. NASA, first medical evacuation from space. I mean, they said that somebody got sick. Somebody said it exposes gaps in space medicine. What's space medicine? Some see the evacuation as responsible risk management. What type of viruses or sicknesses can you get in space? They evacuated the entire International Space Station because of a sickness, and they did not say what it was. And that's the concerning thing. We got no one in the history of the International Space Station caught a cold because, again, like I said, what viruses, what illnesses out in space? Having the people been out there for 6 months in outer space. What illness? Unless there's something brewing and we got to clear the air, clear the sky, right? So I don't understand what it is, but as always, man, I'm going to give you my closing argument, and then we're going to get out of y'all way. Remember, Iseewhatyoudoin Podcast at gmail.com. I don't know if Brian checked in today or won't check in today, but hey, if you check in today, this is the best way to reach out to me. I'll respond to your emails whenever I get a chance, you know. Let's get this done. What ties these stories together? It's not coincidence. It's pressure. In Minneapolis, where a federal officer shot a Venezuelan immigrant. You're seeing what happens when immigration systems fail politically and default to enforcement instead. When reform stalls, a migration decreases. Federal power moves closer to the streets. And force becomes the tool of choice. This shooting isn't about one agent or one moment. It's about a system choosing authority over trust when it's overwhelmed. That same time, pressure shows up in the Supreme Court. But justices are now wrestling with definitions of sex and identity. This isn't happening because the courts want cultural power. It's happening because legislatures have failed to create clear policy. When elected bodies avoid hard decisions, courts inherit them and language becomes the battlefield. The fight over definition is really a fight over legitimacy. Who gets recognized and who gets protected and who decides when society can and can't agree. You put that next to the comparison between federal force and local policing. Shooters in Minneapolis and South Florida, the pattern sharpens. Different uniforms, different jurisdictions, same result. Institution cites officer safety. Investigations drag on and families wait without answer. These systems aren't built to restore trust under stress. They're built to protect themselves. And when legitimacy is weak, procedure replaces accountability. That erosion of trust is also why civil rights themselves are being reframed. When civil rights are described as reverse discrimination, it signals a broader transition moment. In periods of economic strain and cultural anxiety, long-standing protections get recast as unfair advantages. History becomes negotiable. Rights become conditional. It's not about the past. It's about who gets security in the future. Globally, the same logic is playing out in Iran. The protests are met with crackdowns instead of reform. The government centralize power and treat dissent as danger rather than feedback. Repression becomes policy. Control feels safer than accountability, even if it guarantees long-term instability. You see that same fear of losing control in China's move to access advanced AI chips. Technology is moving faster than governments. And when stress can't regulate innovation through operation, they contain it through restriction. AI isn't just software, it's power. Even NASA's first medical evacuation from space fits this pattern. As ambitions grow, tolerance for risk shrinks. Institutions under pressure choose caution over boldness. Even in orbit, systems pull back when trust is fragile. Tonight wasn't about headlines. It was about patterns, from immigration enforcement to police shootings, the courts defining identities to civil rights being reframed, the protests crushed overseas, to technology locked down, and astronauts brought home early. The same pressure shows up everywhere. When systems are stressed, they tighten up. They choose control over accountability, force over trust, definitions over dialogue. And when rights start sounding like favors and power starts sounding like safety, that's when people need to pay attention. These stories aren't random. They're signals of a world in transition, deciding what power will look like next. So don't just listen to what leaders say or what they do, because trust me, I see what you're doing. Stay tuned to Speak That Shit on BFAM 109.6 or at www.bfam109.6. And as always, man, you know I love you. And until I see you next Thursday, I see what you're doing.
www.enter-effect.com for more info, beats, and designs. These beats available for $30 and exclusive beats starting at $150.
Make your next move. Shine along with your girls, I do my so we can all go. Hey man, I'm going in there with this bill, man. CBR the team.